Hello you lot, I've decided I'll take a break from making me shorts. Cheeky plug there, go check them out. Talk about something that came into my head during UFC 285 last Saturday night, when Alexa Grasso shook shit up at flyweight and took the title from Bullet Shevchenko. What a moment. Why doesn't the UFC go back to Mexico? It ain't been there for a double long time, and I feel like if there was ever a time, now would be then. So I've created a full UFC pay-per-view event right the way from the early prelims through to the main event. So do yourself a favour, do a DC, grab some popcorn, sit back, relax and enjoy the show. Let's go. Couple of bits and bobs first. I think this event will take place at UFC 291 at the Estadio Caliente in Tijuana. With that out of the way, let's crack on with the first fight on the early prelims, which I've put as Genaro Valdez and Francisco Prado. Neither of these two lads have ever won in the UFC. Valdez is 0-2 and Francisco stepped in on short notice and lost to Jamie Mullarkey in Perth earlier this year. But they both have a 100% finish rate in their professional careers, meaning this one's definitely going to be a nutty one to start the card. And with Valdez being Mexican, it works. Right, next up, we've got Christian Quinones and Ayman Zahabi. Quinones won his UFC debut by a first-round KO, and Zahabi's on a two-fight streak of his own. Another exciting Mexican talent who's dangerous wherever the fight goes, but especially on the feet with them hands. This is another great fight on the early prelims to hype up the Mexican crowd. Next up, we're going to welterweight, and one of those classic veteran versus up-and-comer matchup. Michael Morales is one of the best up-and-comers in that welterweight division. He's 14-0 with 12 finishes and originally from Colombia but fights out of Tijuana, Mexico. So he's perfect for this card. And obviously means he is a crafty veteran. He's been in the UFC for over a decade now. He's fought the likes of Bilal Muhammad and Jorge Masvidal, but he is on a two-fight losing streak. So he's definitely at the back end of his career, but he's a good test for Morales. It's the right time to test him with someone like this, I think. So it's perfect for the early prelims here. Okay, next up, we got a double naughty one to headline the early prelims. Now, this is the only fight on the card that's got no relation to Mexico at all, but you got to get some heavyweights on there. So we've got the returning Walt Harris against Justin Tafa. We've not seen Walt for a hot minute now, and he is on a three-fight losing streak, but those three losses were to Overeem, Volkov and Tybula, so there's no shame in them. And he has also had a lot to deal with outside of the cage as well, as I'm sure you're all aware of. But he has been training with John Jones recently, and that would add hype to his return. I feel like this would be a great time to bring him back. Justin Tafa is a really, really good welcome back party for Walt, I think. 2-fight win streak, 2 KOs. Well, I mean, these two big lads have got 19 pro wins and 19 KO TKOs between them, so sign me up for that. Like I said, no Mexican influence, but a banger to end the early prelims. Moving on to the main prelims, we've got Amanda Lemos and Tatiana Suarez. First of all, of course, you've got Tatiana with the Mexican influence there, which is good. Of Mexican descent she is, and Lemos lost last year to Andrade, but bounced back with 2 very nice wins. And she is definitely a top 5 in that 115-pound class for me. And obviously Tatiana had that 4-year layoff, but before that she was a top 3 strawweight. She came back recently at flyweight and got the win, but announced she wanted to move back down to strawweight. I think this is a good one for her to start with. It's one of those where if she loses, you can say it was a bit too soon for her. But if she wins, she's right in that title picture. So yeah, good way to start the prelims. Next up, and we're staying with the women, we've got Tracy Cortez and Miranda Maverick. Maverick is 4-2 in the UFC, won her first 2, lost her second 2, but is now on a 2-fight streak and is ranked number 15 in the division. And Cortez is ranked 13th, unbeaten in the UFC, and of course has the Mexican descent, which makes this great for this card. Now, I knew I wanted Cortez on this card, but I wasn't quite sure who to match her up with, because I was thinking maybe give her a top 10 opponent now. But I think her and Maverick are at similar levels for me. Whoever wins can then get a top 10 opponent. That's how I thought about this. I think it's perfect for the card. So yeah, we move on. Now this one I really like, you lot. I'm really proud of this. We've got Dominic Reyes, former 2-time light heavyweight title challenger, against Adesanya's mate, Carlos Ulberg. Reyes is on a 4-fight losing streak, and I don't know what Prochazka did to his chin, but he looked like he'd just been hit by a bus after that. It was crazy. But he's still a top light heavyweight, he really is, but it was difficult to match him up. Originally I was thinking about going with Dalton Jong, but he's on a 2-fight skid, and if he beats Reyes he'll get ranked. That doesn't seem right. And I was impressed with Ulberg's win over Nikolai, so this is a good one as well, because it's definitely going to be a stand-up fight. It either means that Reyes will prove that he is still a top 205er, or Ulberg, who's very marketable in his own right, he's a fucking handsome fella, they can use Reyes' name to build him up. So either way the UFC kind of win here, so it works. Okay, moving on to the featured prelim for UFC 291. We got Raul Rosas Jr. against Julio Arce. Now, Raul Rosas Jr. may look and talk like he's just been stung by a wasp in every part of his face, but he's a top 5 and he's only 18, so this is a great step up for him. Granted, he does have to win at UFC 287 first, but if he can, Julio Arce is a really decent test for him. He was supposed to be Cody Garbrandt's opponent at UFC 285, so that tells you something. The UFC definitely rank him relatively highly, so yeah, it'll be a nice kind of next rung on the ladder for Raul, and he's obviously got the Mexican descent again, so he works on a card. It's bit of a theme here, isn't it? Moving to the main card, and I'm sorry, you lot. I know this is probably going to be a Fight Night main event, but I couldn't miss this opportunity. T-City against TOPURIA. Come on now. In Mexico City, on the card with his missus, you got to bring Brian back here. Come on now. Obviously, we haven't seen Brian since that injury in the Yair Rodriguez fight, but that would have been over a year by the time this card comes around, so I think he should be okay by then. And Ilya just beat the shit out of Fug Nasty, didn't he? That was unbelievable from him. I wasn't expecting that, to be fair. I thought that Bryce would beat him, but obviously I was fucking wrong. But, nah, this is just perfect. Ortega coming off a last, 3 in the division? 4? And then you got Ilya on a great win streak at, 8 or 9? Perfect. As a main card opener, this is fight of the night already. Just give him the 50k now, Dana. Just do it, mate. Champ shit only, baby. I couldn't leave Tony out of this with his Mexican descent. He fits perfectly on this bill. Tony Ferguson is just one of my favourite fighters. He's everyone's favourite fighter, pretty much. He's just a nutty bastard who's also very good at MMA. So, legend. I really enjoyed watching him fight Nate. That was just like nostalgia at its best. And I think he should have gone out there and then. But if he didn't, I think in front of a massive, like, sold out, crazy Mexican arena, like 25,000 people, in a winnable matchup for him, he wins this fight and then he retires. That's my prediction, right? Has to happen. Other side of the octagon, you got Paddy the Baddie. Right, okay, so obviously I'm British, but I don't like Paddy, especially not after 282. He got battered by Jared Gordon. I mean, at least in the post-fight interview, just say, okay, it's a close fight. Don't say you won all 3 rounds clearly, you fucking floppy-haired idiot. Screw that. I have to respect what he's doing for British MMA because he's our only personality at the minute, which is good. But yeah, the guy's a dork. And he leaves his chin way explode. He's got it all the way up. He's looking up at the fucking stars already, waiting to get chinned. And Tony, one of them elbows, man, slicing him up. Come on, TF, get it done, son. Okay then, the first of 3 title fights and the inspiration for this video, the rematch, Grasso and Shevchenko. So, I had a theory that Shevchenko was going to defend against Grasso, then go up to bantamweight. Not happening now, is it? I think this is the perfect time for this fight as well. It works on the schedule. They just fought in March. This is August. Nobody took any real damage. So, yeah, this works for this card. It was the inspiration for it. So, obviously, it's going to be on it. I really liked it when Grasso went southpaw in that fight. She was clipping the shit out of Shevchenko's chin with that straight left hand. It was beautiful the way she was doing it. It was almost Nate Diaz-esque, where you feel like they're out of range, but they just looped that left hand over right onto the chin on several occasions. One of them really did wobble her a lot. So, unfortunately, for the rematch, Valentina will know that's coming. So it won't be as effective. So we'll see if Grasso can find another way to beat her. Right then, you got co-main event, the Tijuana boy, Brandon Moreno, defending his title in a rematch with Alejandro Pantoja. So, Moreno's finally finished his zipzilogy, whatever it was, 400 fucking fights with Davis and Figueiredo, and he's looking to move on in the division now. Figgy's gone up to bantamweight, time for new contenders, and Pantoja's definitely number 1. 100%. There are a couple of reasons why this one's so interesting. Number 1 is Alejandro's actually got a win over Brandon Moreno earlier on in their UFC career, so that's always going to make things interesting when the challenger's already beat the champion. And also, Pantoja's one of these fighters where he's got wonderful stand-up, wonderful striking, great kicks as well. They're the main part of his game, but he's so good at striking that he kind of lures you in to try and take him down, and when you do that, you go into his wheelhouse, which is the jiu-jitsu. He's very multi-skilled. He's got a lot of ways of winning this fight, Pantoja. But I do think Moreno will still win him. I think over the 5 rounds, he'll outgas him, outwork him, use that jab, got a great jab, Moreno. So it's a great fight. A lot of storylines, obviously. Hometown hero, Brandon Moreno. See what happens. And then, of course, the main event. Alexander Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez unifying the featherweight titles. Obviously, Volk went up to lightweight and lost to Islam Makhachev at UFC 284 on the same card. Yair beat Josh Emmett to win the interim title. So like I said with the Grasso Valentina one, in terms of the schedule, this one works perfectly. It would have been 6 months after they both fought, which is about where you'd be looking to turn around anyway, so that makes sense. Stylistically, it's very interesting. Yair's got one of the most dangerous kicking games in the UFC. He can hurt you with anything, and he showed he's good on the ground as well by subbing Josh Emmett, so he 100% proved that he's improving that ground game. But I mean, if Volkanovski can live with Islam Makhachev on the ground, Yair better hope that Volk don't get his little hands on him. But even if he doesn't get his hands on him, it's one of those fights where I kind of don't see a route for Yair. Of course he can land one of those random spinning kicks and knock him out. Of course he can knock anyone out in that division with one of them kicks. Fucking hell. But I just don't see it happening. Like, Volk's got a big dome on him as well. He's got a big head and take shots. Do you know what I mean? But I just don't see a route here for Yair. I mean, of course, like I said, there's always a route. Puncher's chance or kicker's chance in this case. But yeah, Volk's just better everywhere for me. More cardio, lasts longer, way better grappling. Boxing's very sharp, got incredible fight IQ, but I mean, like I said, Yair is obviously a hometown favourite, headline in the card. in Mexico, Tijuana. Ravenous fans. We'll see what happens, man. So that's it for my concept card then. All the way from the early prelims right the way through to the main event. Hope you enjoyed. If you think I'm chatting shit, please do let me know. I'll make sure to tell you that you're fucking wrong. Like and subscribe, and let's all hope John Jones doesn't pop for anything in the next 2 weeks. See ya.